The city never sleeps. Tall buildings stretch into the sky, glowing with lights. Expensive cars move through the streets, carrying powerful people to their next destination. Among them is a billionaire, a man with everything: money, power, and success. He has worked hard for years, building his empire from the ground up. Now he owns companies, luxury homes, and private jets. But despite all of this, something feels missing. Every day is the same: meetings, deals, and more money. He has everything, yet feels empty. Just a few streets away, another man lives a completely different life. He has no home, no job, and no money. Every day is a battle for survival. His clothes are torn, his face is tired, and his stomach is empty. He spends his days searching for food, hoping to find something in the trash or receive kindness from a stranger. Their worlds are opposite. One man has more than he needs, while the other has nothing. They should never cross paths, but fate has other plans. Today, something unusual will happen. A meeting that no one could predict. A moment that will change everything. The billionaire's morning starts like every other day. His alarm goes off, but he's already awake. He doesn't need more sleep. His mind is always busy, always thinking about the next deal. He steps out of bed and walks through his massive penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows show the entire city below. The view is breathtaking, but he barely notices it anymore. His assistant has already prepared his schedule. Meetings with investors, calls with business partners, a lunch at an exclusive restaurant. His driver waits outside, ready to take him wherever he needs to go. His suit is perfect, his watch costs more than most people's yearly salary. Everything in his life is planned and efficient. But something feels different today. As he moves through his day, he notices things he usually ignores. A homeless man sitting outside his office building. A woman struggling to carry heavy bags. A child selling flowers on the sidewalk. He shakes off the thoughts. He has more important things to do. By evening, he finishes his last meeting. Normally, he would go straight home. But tonight, he decides to take a different route. No particular reason, just a feeling. As his car moves through the city, he looks out the window. He sees the usual sights: people rushing home, neon lights, busy streets. Then something catches his eye. A man bent over a trash can, searching for food. The billionaire watches for a moment. Something inside him stirs. Without thinking, he tells his driver to stop. He steps out of the car and walks toward the man. The poor man doesn't remember the last time he had a full meal. Hunger has become a familiar pain. His stomach growls, but he ignores it. It's been years since he had the luxury of choosing what to eat. Now he takes whatever he can find. He wasn't always like this. Once he had a normal life, a job, a small apartment, a routine. But life is unpredictable. One bad event led to another. He lost his job, then his savings ran out. Soon, he couldn't pay rent. With nowhere to go, the streets became his home. At first, he thought it would be temporary. He applied for jobs, tried to get back on his feet, but no one wanted to hire a man without an address. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Eventually, he stopped hoping for change. Now, survival is his only goal. Every morning he wakes up in a corner of the city, cold and stiff. He checks his pockets, empty. No money, no food. He walks through the streets, looking for something to eat. Restaurants throw away food at night. If he's lucky, he might find a half-eaten sandwich, a piece of bread, anything. Today, luck is not on his side. He searches through one trash can, then another. Nothing. His stomach twists in pain. He sighs and moves to the next one. As he digs through the garbage, he hears footsteps. Someone is watching him. He looks up slowly, expecting to see an annoyed store owner or a security guard ready to chase him away. But instead, he sees something unexpected. A man in a sharp suit, standing a few feet away. The poor man freezes. The stranger doesn't look angry. He just stands there, watching. Then he speaks. "What are you looking for?" The poor man hesitates. Most people don't talk to him. They either ignore him or tell him to leave. He clears his throat, his voice rough from exhaustion. "Food," he says simply. The billionaire doesn't react right away. He just keeps looking at him, as if trying to understand something. Then he does something surprising. He steps closer and keeps talking. The billionaire looks at the man in front of him. His clothes are torn, his face is thin, his hands are dirty. He looks exhausted, as if life has drained every bit of energy from him. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The street noise fills the silence, cars passing, distant voices, footsteps on the sidewalk. The billionaire clears his throat. How did you end up here? The poor man glances at him, confused. Most people don't ask questions. They just walk by, pretending not to see him. He hesitates, then shrugs. Lost my job, lost my home, no one wanted to help. The billionaire nods slowly. He expected a longer story, but the man keeps it simple. Maybe he's tired of explaining. Do you have family? The billionaire asks. The poor man looks away. Not anymore. Another silence. The billionaire doesn't know why he's still standing here. He should get back in his car, go home, forget about this. But something about the man's voice stays with him. It's not just sadness, it's defeat. The billionaire thinks about his own life. The endless meetings, the numbers, the deals. He has everything, yet sometimes he feels empty. But this man, he has nothing, and no one. Without thinking, the billionaire makes a decision. Come with me, he says. The poor man's eyes widen. What? You're hungry, right? Let's get some food. The poor man hesitates. This must be a trick. Rich people don't talk to people like him, let alone offer help. But his stomach aches, and he's too tired to question it. Okay. The billionaire nods and signals his driver. The car door opens. The poor man glances at the sleek black vehicle, unsure. He hasn't ridden in a car in years. Go ahead, the billionaire says. Still hesitant, the poor man steps inside. The door closes behind him. As the car pulls away, he doesn't know where they're going. But for the first time in years, someone is taking him somewhere. And he's not alone. The car moves smoothly through the city streets. Inside, the poor man sits stiffly, unsure of what to do. The leather seats feel too soft. The air smells too clean. He doesn't belong here. The billionaire watches him from the other side of the car. He notices how the man keeps his hands in his lap, as if afraid to touch anything. What's your name? The billionaire asks. The poor man hesitates. It's been a long time since anyone asked. Daniel, he says quietly. The billionaire nods. I'm James. Daniel glances at him. The name sounds familiar. Maybe he's seen it on a building or in a newspaper. He doesn't ask. It doesn't matter. The car stops outside a quiet restaurant. Not one of the billionaire's usual high-end spots, just a small, warm place. No expensive suits, no flashing cameras, just food. They step inside, and James leads Daniel to a table. The waiter approaches but hesitates when he sees Daniel's worn-out clothes. James gives him a look, and the waiter quickly nods, handing them menus. Daniel stares at the menu, overwhelmed. It's been years since he ordered food. He doesn't even know what to pick. Get whatever you want, James says. Daniel swallows. A sandwich is fine. James shakes his head. Order a full meal. Daniel hesitates, then points to a dish on the menu. A real meal, something he never thought he'd have again. When the food arrives, he eats slowly at first, almost unsure if it's real. But soon, hunger takes over. He finishes everything on his plate. James watches. He's seen people close million-dollar deals, win awards, and celebrate success. But he's never seen someone appreciate a simple meal this much. After a long silence, Daniel speaks. Why are you doing this? James leans back. He's not sure how to answer. I don't know, he admits. Maybe because I can. Daniel looks down. He doesn't want pity. He's used to people walking past him, pretending he doesn't exist. This is different. James thinks for a moment, then makes a decision. A big one. I want to help you, he says. Daniel's head snaps up. Help me? Yes. James leans forward. Not just with food, with your life. Daniel stares at him, waiting for the catch. But James is serious. What if I gave you a job? A place to stay? A fresh start? Daniel laughs, but there's no humor in it. People like me don't get fresh starts. James doesn't look away. What if this time you do? Silence. Daniel wants to believe it, but he's been disappointed too many times. Still, something about this man feels different. Why me? He asks. James smiles slightly, because everyone deserves a second chance. Daniel doesn't know what to say. For the first time in years, hope flickers inside him. And this time, it feels real. Daniel still can't believe what he just heard. A job, a place to stay, a fresh start. It sounds like a dream. One of those thoughts he used to have in the early days of being homeless, before reality crushed every bit of hope he had left. He stares at James, trying to find any sign of a trick. But the billionaire's face is calm and serious. You don't have to say yes, James says. I'm not forcing anything. But if you're ready to change your life, I'm ready to help. Daniel grips the edge of the table. His hands are shaking and he doesn't know why. Maybe it's the hunger, maybe it's the fear of hope. Why? Daniel asks again. Why would you do this for me? James leans back in his chair. Because I can. It's the same answer as before, but this time, Daniel understands it differently. He takes a deep breath. What kind of job? James smiles. Something simple to start. I own a few hotels. I can set you up with a job in one of them. Cleaning, front desk, whatever you're comfortable with. I'll cover your housing until you get settled. Daniel blinks. A job in a hotel? A real paycheck? A place to sleep that isn't the cold streets? It's too much. I don't have any clothes, Daniel mumbles. Or an ID. I don't even know if I can work. James waves a hand. We'll take care of that. Clothes, paperwork, everything. All you have to do is show up. Daniel's heart pounds. This isn't just a meal. This isn't just temporary kindness. This is a way out. A real one. He should say yes, he knows he should, but fear still grips him. What if I fail? He asks quietly. James doesn't hesitate. Then we try again. The words hit Daniel harder than he expects. He's been kicked down so many times that he forgot what it felt like to have someone believe in him. For the first time in years, someone is giving him a chance. A real chance. Daniel swallows the lump in his throat. Okay. James nods, satisfied. Good. He signals for the bill, then stands. Let's go. We have a lot to do. Daniel follows him out of the restaurant, still feeling like this isn't real. But as they step into the car, he realizes something. For the first time in a long time, he's not thinking about where his next meal will come from. He's thinking about tomorrow. And for the first time, tomorrow doesn't feel hopeless. The next few days feel like a dream for Daniel. James keeps his word. The first stop is a clothing store. Daniel tries on clean, well-fitting clothes for the first time in years. The fabric feels strange against his skin, too soft, too new. But when he looks in the mirror, he barely recognizes himself. Next, James arranges for Daniel to stay in a small apartment. It's nothing fancy, just a simple one-bedroom place. But to Daniel, it's more than a home. It's proof that his life is changing. The hardest part is the job. On his first day at the hotel, he feels out of place. He's nervous, afraid of making mistakes. But the manager is patient, the work is simple, and soon Daniel finds a rhythm. Weeks pass, then months. Daniel saves his paychecks. He buys small things for his apartment. He no longer worries about his next meal. One day, he gets a call. It's James. How's everything? James asks. Daniel looks around his apartment, the bed, the table, the fridge full of food. He thinks about his job, his new life, and for the first time in years he smiles. I'm doing good, he says. Really good. James doesn't say much, but Daniel can hear the satisfaction in his voice. They don't talk often, but Daniel knows he'll never forget what James did for him. And James, he feels something new, something money never gave him, a sense of purpose. He helped change a life, and maybe, just maybe, that changed him too.